Hi everyone, welcome to my next video. I'm going to talk about what I think is the biggest myth about old age, because there seems to be a lot of negativity about growing old, and I don't see it that way. I see being a senior with has many positives to it that younger people don't realize, and they might never realize, because it's all about intention and our frame of mind and how we've spent our years to get here. So I'm going to show you this beautiful beach that we've been here before, but luckily it's not very windy today, so I took advantage of this nice sunny day, and we are the only ones here. I do have Maggie on a leash because she will bark if I let her loose, and the water is way too cold for the dogs to swim. So I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to tell you what I think the biggest myth is about growing old. And it is something that I don't find to be true at all. And I hope you find it inspiring and uplifting, because being a senior for me is a pretty great time in my life, and a whole lot more rewarding than I ever imagined. So I'm going to turn this around. And we're going to just walk along here. Go next. Now, I hear a lot about doom and gloom stuff. Gee, you're going to fall apart when you get old. And you might. But young people fall apart too. So, if you focus on falling apart, I believe you will fall apart. And we all have an expiration date anyway, so why even worry about it, right? Why even focus on something like that? But to me, there's a lot of talk about, and a lot of inferred, that seniors no longer have value in society. We've spent years working, we've contributed to society, we've paid our dues, we've completed our careers, paid into the system, and now we're supposed to just sit around and do nothing because we have no more value, supposedly. And I find that not only to be not true, but it's kind of insulting. In fact, it's very insulting, because here's how I see it. Yes, we did pay our dues. Yes, we did pay into the system and contribute. And many of us raised families and children and were married and did all of that. This is beautiful. But here's the thing. It's time for us now. We're going to pay ourselves by doing all the things we didn't have time for. And if society deems us now irrelevant or unimportant, that's fine, because maybe we don't want to contribute the way we used to. Maybe we only did it because we had to, because the system is set up to keep a job, run a household, raise children. And how about this? Instead of paying into society now, we're paying into ourselves. And if society deems us now irrelevant, I see society less relevant to me. And also, sometimes we're viewed as really behind the times in terms of not understanding technology. And I see it this way. Young people will never have the wonderful experience of having grown up before technology. And we are the last people who will be able to relate to the world when it was simpler times. And I think it's their loss that they'll never have that. Because seniors remember a time when people could just walk down the street and see a friend, call them on the phone, and if you weren't home and the phone rang, the person would call you back. No one was in a hurry, or if they were, they waited. Life went on. We worked hard. We did our best, and we had good times. And the world was safer, and it was more affordable, and the air was cleaner. And younger people will never know that. And also, there's a shift going on in this world that I find quite alarming and very sad. And I find that people are becoming so much more robotic and lacking compassion and simple ways to show kindness. And it wasn't that way when I grew up. Sure, we still had crime and all kinds of tragedy, but I don't remember it being the scale that it is today. This is beautiful. I'm going to catch the sunset. And the myth about being a senior is ridiculous. Because we didn't work for years to fall apart. And yes, our bodies are aging and we will have health issues. But being 60, being 70, being 80, there's so much for us now to do with all the knowledge that we've gained and all the time now that we have to do all those things that we never had time to do. And I remember when I was at work in my 30s, and when you're hired at a major company, you have different options, or at least we did back then, in terms of retirement savings and all of that. And I don't know if that exists now, probably not. But the idea of retirement was completely foreign to me. And I remember laughing, thinking, gosh, that's so far away. Why do I even need to think about that? But the truth of the matter is, we'll all get old one day. And it's not something to dread at all, but something to embrace. And the myth about working all your life only to fall apart is so, oh gosh, it's so depressing. Because we didn't just work. We had time to ourselves. We enjoyed things. We had memories and moments. It wasn't all just work. And the work that we did, we learned from. And if we were smart, we saved our money. Which I made the mistake of not doing. Oh, these are all the shells the seagulls dropped. Those are really big clams. Wow, those are huge. So all these myths about being a senior, being no longer relevant to society, I'm glad, because society has changed so much. I don't know if I want to be relevant. I want to be relevant to myself. And I want to be relevant to the things that I value. And the things that I value are things that society maybe no longer does. Like being authentic and being compassionate and not following trends, but following what's in our heart and what we really care about. That's what I find important. And I think young people today, sadly, will never know what it was like to grow up when times were simpler, when being online was not the major focus of the day, and people did not spend hours upon hours staring at a screen. They'll never know what it was like to just drive to a grocery store and know the people working there. Having someone carry your bag out to your car. Oh my gosh, I remember that. My mother used to take me shopping, and the guy used to always greet my mother. And everyone knew everyone in my small town. And we didn't have the fear and the distrust that we have today. And I'm glad I'm a senior, because I'm glad I remember when the world was so different. And I'm not irrelevant. And if society deems seniors as irrelevant, then it's society's loss. Because we have still so much to offer. We have so much knowledge and so much experience. And if it doesn't meet the standards of today's society, then today's society's standards are wrong. Or they're sadly lacking. And it's sad because when all of us seniors who knew what life was like before the internet, when we are no longer, I think about that a lot. And it makes me want to talk more about what it was like back then in the 60s and the 70s. And write books about how life was so much easier. Even though I had my personal struggles. But the world was so much more beautiful, I guess is the best way I can describe it. I can remember my hometown. I could take my dog to the park by myself when I was 8 years old. Can't do that now. I'd go to the store and buy penny candy. 10 pennies and come home with a bag full of candy. Ha! Can't do that now. Or I'd leave my bike outside the elementary school. And it would still be there after class. Nobody stole it. Can't do that now. And sure, there was crime, but not at the level that it is now. We didn't have violence in school. Oh my gosh. I don't remember anybody ever getting in trouble other than just a fist fight out in the schoolyard over something stupid. I don't remember the violence that there is now. So, we seniors, we've seen the better world. We've seen the beauty in simpler times. We're not irrelevant. We're relevant to what's missing in the world. And if society thinks we're irrelevant and unimportant because we don't contribute anymore, then they don't value what we have to contribute. And I think that's very, very tragic, because the world is shifting now to such shallow values. And I'm glad I'm a senior. I'm glad that I have the perspective that I do now, because now I get to see both worlds. And I would prefer to be in the older one, which is impossible. It'd be beautiful hair? And the myth about growing old and becoming irrelevant and falling apart, well, I'm here to tell you, 70 years old, I'm still healthy. I'm not falling apart. I may be slowing down. There's a lot of seniors that are still active. And even if we are slowing down, so what? There's still so much we can do and enjoy. And there's something else. We appreciate more. We appreciate what we didn't appreciate before. Because we now see time in a whole different light. And we appreciate the time that we have left. And I sure didn't when I was younger. And so, all of this talk about doom and gloom growing old, I think it's causing a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry. Because I think aging can be a beautiful thing. And when I saw my mother at age 92, she had been very cruel many times to me throughout her life. But when I saw her laying in the bed in the nursing home, and I remember writing this in my book, she looked as if she'd just finished running a race and she didn't want to run any more races. And I believe that's exactly how she felt, because she'd had enough. But in her submission to knowing the inevitable, she was kind to me. And she told me she loved me, which hadn't occurred very often in my life. And she had softened, and she had resigned herself to the passing of time. And how many young people can do that, right? And to me, that was the most beautiful moment when I saw my mom for the last time. And seniors have the ability to do this because we have lived life and we have become aware of so much over the years. And seniors are not irrelevant. Seniors are a treasure trove of wisdom. And if no one wants to listen to us, then so be it. But the person who won't listen to a senior is a person who's going to be missing out. And as this world evolves into AI and more virtual reality, and when the seniors are all gone, and the new seniors are the people who never experienced life before the internet, I think it's going to be an entirely new world. And I don't think it's going to be for the better. So I'm going to embrace my senior years. And I hope you are too. And if I want to reject the modern world and keep all those memories from my past, then we are certainly deserving to do so. Because we have more value than the younger generations will ever understand. And so with that, it is a myth growing old. We don't have to fall apart. We can keep going. We can take care of ourselves and adjust our life accordingly. And if negative people want to portray later years as a matter of just being discarded and considered unimportant, I don't care. Because I love being this age, almost 70. And I never thought I would have so much fun as I am now. I never had time to walk on a beach like this. I was too busy working. I was too busy worried about bills and exhausted every single day, running on that treadmill, hamster wheel. I didn't appreciate life because I didn't have time. So the myth to being a senior, being irrelevant and unimportant, is ridiculous. And I hope you all enjoyed this video, especially if you are a senior. And please let me know what you think. If you're my age, or older, or maybe even in your 50s or 60s. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel and share your own ideas and thoughts and experiences. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to teach a class. Maybe you want to do something you never had time to do before. And I think that's beautiful. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. Take care.